Alright everybody, in today's video I'm going to be guiding you through my topical dutasteride journey as well as what to do in order to benefit from topical dutasteride the best way with minimal side effects. Now, if you have used topical dutasteride before and you have not seen any results, this video will also explain you why that was the case and how to fix it. Make sure to stay tuned and let's get right into it. Now, dutasteride is 5-alpha reductase inhibitor that blocks 90% plus of your dihydrotestosterone. Using it topically could make it an attractive option, especially for people who don't want to nuke their DHT to almost non-detectable levels. It also applies to lowering sperm counts and ejaculate volume, which has been shown to be lowered by as much as 30% with using oral dutasteride 0.5 milligram. It was minus 28.6% with dutasteride 0.5 milligram and minus 34.3% with finasteride 5 milligram. Now, that was the total sperm count, but if we talk about ejaculate volume, it also significantly decreased on dutasteride 0.5 milligram by minus 29.7%. So, if you are somebody who wants to utilize dutasteride for hair regrowth and hair thickening in a more side effect friendly way, then this video is the right one for you. So there are 3 ways how to benefit from dutasteride that actually work based on scientific evidence as well as anecdotal reports I have seen. We have dutasteride mesotherapy, topical dutasteride with microneedling, and liposomal dutasteride applied topically without microneedling. And the option number 2 and 3 you can do at home. The first option you can only do at dermatologist practice. In today's video I will be mainly talking about the option number 2 and 3, since the mesotherapy option can be only done at a mesotherapy or dermatology or hair transplant doctor practice. It also requires anesthetizing the scalp in some cases and so on. You can definitely learn more about it in my past video I made almost 4 years ago. What is the approved frequency of delivering the mesotherapy? What is the right dosing and these types of things? It's a legit option that is being utilized by many dermatologists, especially in Europe, countries like Spain, countries like Belgium, but also in the Middle East. There are dermatologists I have seen or spoke with who are using this option. Now, let's come to the option number 2 and 3 on how to use topical dutasteride at home for hair regrowth. Let's start with the option number 2, using the topical dutasteride with the microneedling. It is one of the most studied ways of utilizing topical dutasteride for hair growth next to the mesotherapy itself. And this option actually has 2 placebo-controlled studies that back up its efficacy. The studies I'm going to be diving into right now. So you will need a topical dutasteride, of course, preferably 0.01% to 0.02%, and a microneedling device, preferably Dermastamp or Dermapen. You can also use a roller, but in the long run, you are doing more harm than necessary. Here is the video that you should watch later, where you can learn why I actually stopped using them for myself. Once you have that, you should be getting the 0.01% or 0.02% dutasteride topical. Why not more? Well, we have 2 studies where 0.01 or 0.02% have been utilized with microneedling at the length of 1.5 millimeter and 2.5 millimeter. And you see here, you are already running into some troubles because most of the derma rollers are actually just 0.5 millimeter, 0.25. Yes, if you do a little bit more research, you may find ones that are longer, but this is going to hurt a lot as well. So the derma rollers are actually hurting way more for a certain length compared to a device like the motorized pen or a Dermastamp. So the good news is that in those studies where they used low dose of topical dutasteride versions as well as the microneedling, this therapy, even after 6 months of continuous use, it was not affecting the testosterone and neither the DHT levels systemically, which is amazing. And continuously with this video, I'm going to be also giving you my experience. Now I'm going to pretty much just show you how so I'm not applying it on the hair, but rather on the skin. Properly microneedle the whole scalp or the whole thinning area. Now, many people ask, why should we even use the needling? Okay, why shouldn't we just apply the topical dutasteride without it? Well, the problem is the Dalton rule. If the needling will not be used, then the topical dutasteride will likely not gonna be absorbed properly. It has been shown in some in vitro studies, and I'm gonna link below as well, where you can see that the dutasteride topical dissolved in 70% ethanol had a very, very slow absorption rate. You can see it on the left, cumulative percentage of dutasteride release. We can see that after 25 hours, around 25% of dutasteride applied has been released only. And I don't know anybody who would leave the dutasteride or any topical for more than 10 hours, not even talking about 25 hours. It's called the Dalton rule. That means that any molecule that you try to apply and then have it penetrate your stratum corneum, it will not absorb if the molecule is heavier than 500 Daltons. The dutasteride is 526, which means it cannot effectively reach the epidermis unless you do some incisions or try to needle through the skin first, and then even heavier molecules than 500 Daltons can actually penetrate. Coming back to the studies, both studies have their physicians applying numbing cream to patients' heads first. Both were randomized placebo-controlled studies. We don't know if it was double-blinded, if we don't know if even the doctors or nurses who were applying certain topicals to patients' heads knew whether it was the dutasteride or whether it was a placebo. We don't know that, but nonetheless, this is a pretty rather higher quality of a study. The study that used 0.02% topical dutasteride from Mexico, 2018, they were using a needling length of 1.5 millimeter. They were using a dutasteride 0.02%, and the treatment schedule was once every week for the first 8 weeks, and then once every 2 weeks for the week 9 and 11. And after that, after 2 months, just once a month until the 6-month mark. Now, the other study, which will be also linked below, in this one, they have been using the 2.5 millimeter longer needling length, and they were using a lower concentration, 0.01%, and it was a 20-week study. In the second study, they were using a dermapen, Dr. Pen A6. Now, interestingly, in the first study, they actually applied the dutasteride first, and then they microneedle through that. So that's interesting. So first applying the topical and then microneedling. And interestingly, it also worked. It gave results. So are you following the science so far? Well, so did I. Back in 2021, I have been on finasteride oral for more than 2 years already at that time, and I decided to add the 0.02% topical dutasteride and 1.5 millimeter microneedling routine to my anti-hair loss regimen. I was pretty excited because of the results of both of the studies I'm about to show you right now, as well as just the necessity of just needing to apply and needle just once a week. So that was very good. Before I share with you my results, back to the science. The results from the topical dutasteride and microneedling can be expected in 5 to 6 months based on both of these studies. I'm going to start with the study from Mexico that applied the 0.02% topical dutasteride and 1.5 millimeter derma needling device. So as you can see here, the group 1 with 15 patients is the treatment group where they use the dutasteride, and the group number 2 is the placebo group. We can see that the hair caliber at baseline with group 1 and 2 is roughly similar. It's 0.022, 0.02, which in microns would translate to 22 microns, 20 to 22 microns. If we go to the hair caliber after 6 months, we can see more than a doubling. We can see a jump from 22 onto 46 microns, and then in the placebo group, it stays the same. So this is very, very promising, right? Hair caliber percentage change is 98% versus 3%, so that's a significant difference. If we go to the hair regrowth, hair density per square centimeter, we can also see the baseline being at around 197 hairs in the treatment group and also 189 hairs in the placebo group. And after 6 months, we can see an increase from 197 onto 224 in the treatment group, and in the placebo group, it's 189 to 180. So it's a decrease. So we can see, again, 12% increase in the treatment group in hair density per square centimeter and minus 4% decrease in the placebo group over 6 months. So in this study, we have column number 1 with the placebo group and column number 2 with the treatment group. We will talk about the overall changes in the frontal area and occipital area, and namely talk about the hair thickness and hair density per square centimeter improvement. So if we look at the hair thickness, we can also see that both groups got a pretty substantial improvement in hair thickness, the control group or placebo group, as well as the treatment group right there. Now, this can sometimes happen due to placebo phenomenon, due to nocebo effect. But if we go further with the hair density improvements, we can see already a big difference between the control and treatment group. It was a 5.5 more hairs per square centimeter of an improvement after 20 weeks in the control group and 26.6 in the treatment group. So you can see already huge difference started to appear. Also, if we go to the occipital area, we can see that the improvements in thickness are happening in both groups. However, the difference is way more pronounced in the treatment group. Hair density per square centimeter in the placebo group on the vertex area is just 6 more hairs, versus in the vertex area of a treatment group, it's 21 more hairs. Significant of a difference. As you see, the number clearly demonstrates that you should be getting a substantial hair thickening, also a pretty significant hair regrowth with topical dutasteride low dose and microneedling. Also, the self-assessments were very, very positive in the 0.02% topical dutasteride study. So that also confirms that it was definitely helping. Now, the only side effects was pain from the needling itself that was reported in placebo as well as in the treatment groups. No sexual side effects were reported. In fact, the 0.02% study did a testosterone and DHT level before and after testing. And as you can see right here, the changes were very negligible. With testosterone levels, it was a 2.6% difference, and with DHT, it was 5.3% difference. And even if the difference would have been, let's say, 10% less or up to 15% less on the after test, I would still consider this to be a natural fluctuation. With that being said, if you want to replicate the most science-based topical dutasteride protocol as closely as possible at your home, then this will be like the safety guidelines as well as product recommendations, where you can see pretty much the proper routine, including the scalp cleaning, dutasteride solution from either a proper pharmacy or a trusted source, application frequency, and everything you need to do. If I would be trying it all over again, which I'm not going to be doing because finasteride is working sufficiently for me, but in case you are not responding to finasteride, or you cannot tolerate finasteride, or you are unable to use finasteride or oral dutasteride for different reasons, I think this is a great thing to try because it is a really high reward and low risk type of treatment, in my opinion. I have been using this protocol for almost 10 months before quitting. Why? Because I have seen no additional benefits on top of taking my finasteride at the time orally. This is not surprising since I consider myself a really good responder to finasteride, and in these cases we tend to not observe as significant of a difference when adding dutasteride. However, in case of a weak responder or no responder to finasteride, the addition of dutasteride results in a very dramatic, significant hair thickening and hair regrowth, as shown in the study from 2014 on Korean men, where 39 men did not respond to finasteride for at least 6 months taking it prior, but once they got on 0.5 milligram dutasteride, we have seen 77% of them actually responding favorably, very favorably, within just 6 months. The other problem why I think that I might not have responded the best way was the topical solution I used at the time. I have used the one from Minoxidil Max. It was a 0.1% solution, which I had to further dilute in order to get like 0.02% concentration. Most of you guys watching this video probably even have tried dutasteride topically. Maybe you have even ordered from this provider. However, I'm not sure about the quality of their compounding and quality of the ingredients they've used, since they are not like a pharmacy. That can affect the way it works, of course. Most of the dermatologists I spoke with over the years, including the study on 0.01% dutasteride right here, they're all using this solution, DutaOx dutasteride 0.01%. Now, as it is the case with the more advanced microneedling devices, the problem with DutaOx is that they only seem to be selling it B2B, so you would have to buy it through a dermatologist. And if you are interested in getting great effectiveness out of topical dutasteride dutasteride with minimal side effects via any of these 3 topical application pathways we have mentioned before, consider joining our membership community on folliclesupport.com, where we have members using topical dutasteride without issues. On this platform, it is impossible not to get any results. Why? Because first, you get a free onboarding call with a certified hair practitioner, myself. Then you get preference-based treatment recommendations, so you can ultimately start with the right hair loss routine for saving your hair ASAP and avoid wasting time and money on things that don't work. You get access to some of our most popular video and PDF hair loss and hair transplant resources, and you can ask me questions on our platform 24/7. Now let's come to the other version of topical dutasteride, that would be the liposomal delivery. This means encapsulating dutasteride particles into a liposome, like lipid-like substance. These liposomes are meant to release dutasteride into the skin in a controlled manner. And if we go back to the study that was in vitro study comparing dutasteride in a usual hydroalcoholic 70% ethanol-based vehicle compared to liposomal versions of the dutasteride, we can see that the dutasteride release is better, it's more efficient, and it's also happening faster. And this you can do without the needling. The practical problems I have with the liposomal delivery is this. I have used a topical finasteride liposomal solution in the past, and I figured that they tend to act very locally. That means you need to be very, very deliberate about applying it everywhere. You want to be also preventing hair loss in the areas where hair loss might occur in the future. That is why you will always be a bit left behind when using topicals for hair loss prevention compared to oral treatment. And throughout the time of me creating these types of videos on my channel, which is like more than 7 years right now, I have already received many lab tests from either of subscribers of mine or consulting clients of mine who did use liposomal solutions, especially the finasteride ones, and they sent me their systemic DHT levels before and after, and I've seen oftentimes that the DHT levels did drop after using products that have either finasteride or dutasteride encapsulated in the liposomes. If we look at the website of Zion Health, this is a website that sells topical dutasteride and finasteride in a liposomal version. We can also see that after testing the serum DHT levels, the percentage change from the baseline, they have actually also noted minus 19% of DHT levels drop with a variance of 21, which means up to 40% in some cases the DHT levels actually dropped, even when using the liposomal dutasteride that on paper should not go systemic and whatnot, but it's not always the case. And it doesn't always mean that if your DHT levels drop, you will get side effects. Some people will get side effects even when the DHT levels will be very, very mildly affected. That's why people get still side effects from topical finasteride, for example. If we compare the ease of use, and I can talk about this because I've used both versions topically, I can tell you that there are further limitations of the liposomal solution, especially the way it needs to be applied. Since it's a gel, it's like a creamy substance. If you have longer hair, like mine right now, or longer, or maybe it's thicker in between, like you have diffuse thinning, a lot of that jelly substance is gonna get caught onto the hair and is not gonna reach the skin properly. So unless you have a buzz cut, then it's perfect. But if you don't, then it's gonna probably get wasted on the rest of your existing hair, which is not ideal. Now, when it comes down to pricing, you can find 0.25% to 0.5% liposomal solutions that go from 80 to 111 euro for 90 ml bottle that can last you roughly 2 months, maybe 3 months if you are just, low grade hair loss. You can buy the Hasson topical dutasteride 2% one for $129. Many are curious about why are liposomal solutions so highly dosed. Will you get more side effects from that? Well, they have different pharmacokinetics compared to hydroalcoholic liquid solutions, and we have also seen it based on how they are absorbing, how fast they are acting on the surface, and so on. So the compounding of liposomal solution requires relatively higher concentrations of dutasteride, and this gets also expensive. That's why they're also expensive, because they need to load so much dutasteride in there. They need to really overload the nanoparticle carriers at first in order to drive the drug into the skin better. Also, because the liposomal topical dutasteride remains only outside of the skin for the whole time, for many hours until it absorbs, they have to build up like a big reservoir of the drug on the surface, from where a steady dose of dutasteride can be released into the skin in a controlled manner. Now, with that being said, thank you so much for watching the science-backed way to hair regrowth with topical dutasteride. If you have any questions, make sure you list them down below in the comments. And for all of you guys who are interested in my one-on-one consulting services regarding hair loss and hair transplant, check out the link in the video description below, where you can learn more about how I can help you one-on-one with finding the right way for saving your hair, getting a hair transplant, choosing the best hair transplant doctor for your hair type, expectations, budget, and these types of things, as I've already done with more than 2,000 clients of mine. We'll be happy to help you out in person and see you in person, and until next time.